Hi there, I'm Monette Satterfield. This is my studio. I'm so glad you're here with me today. I am going to start a painting and it is going to be autumn, fall. I'm going to try to capture the feel of fall because it is just about peak leaf season here. And on my way into the studio, I picked up a little collection of leaves off my back patio for inspiration. Now, I do have photos of these because they won't last. Let me just say that I don't have a plan for this. This isn't planned out. It's certainly not going to be perfect. And just so you know, this video is unedited and I am filming it live. I do not edit them. So what you see is what you get. If I make a mistake, you're going to see that. If something fabulous happens, you're going to see that too. So the first thing I'm going to do is get my paint ready. And I do have some paint out. These are some fall colors that I particularly like. I've got a gold oxide, a red violet, a yellow oxide. I'm using Payne's gray and a titanium buff. And as this painting progresses, I may add some other colors, which I have over here that I particularly like, which is this sharp green and this pink, but I'm going to worry about that later. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw some of my leaves on this paper. This is a piece of mixed media paper. It's 18 by 24, nothing special. I find sometimes that working on paper that isn't as precious is actually so much more freeing because, like I said, there's no plan here. I don't actually have anything in mind. So what I'm going to do is just draw a few leaves. And these don't have to be perfect. As a matter of fact, I'm going to try to make them particularly sloppy if I can. Well, there we are. That's one. I like this red one. Even though it is a typical oblong leaf shape, that shouldn't be too hard to draw. There we go. How about that? That was easy. I think I'm going to switch to a green crayon now just for a little bit of contrast. You know, here, why don't we do this? This could be fun. Yeah. Okay. That turned out pretty well, actually. For being pretty sloppy, I kind of like that. And we'll just draw a free-form one over here. And I'm going to switch one more time to a gold, well, I guess it'll be yellow crayon. Maybe just draw one of these. There we go. That's nice. Oh, yeah. Here. There. And that is a great start for a underpainting or a just to sketch, just to get something on the paper so it doesn't feel so raw and quite so intimidating, because it can feel that way sometimes. And just to really give it some zazz, I'm going to take a black crayon. These are my favorite Stabilo crayons. And I'm just going to mark on it a little bit. Maybe some stars. That's one of my favorite motifs, are stars. Again, I don't have a plan for this. Now, I think just to give it some texture, instead of starting right in with the paint, I'm going to go with some gesso to start with. And I'm going to use a key card, which is a plastic key card, a plastic scraper, one of my favorite tools. And I'm not going to cover the paper with this. I'm just going to... And you'll notice it is making the marks smear, which I absolutely love. I really like to see them smear like that. And of course, the gesso is getting a little dirty as it gets smeared. Eventually, I plan to cover this whole paper with paint and gesso and many layers of paint and glazes, but this is truly just a start. So I've got that. I know what I forgot. I actually know better than to try to paint without an apron, at least with acrylic paint, because it is guaranteed to get on my clothes. As you can see, it's on my apron. So there, we're a little safer now going into actual acrylic paint. And again, I just put out gold oxide, yellow oxide, red violet, Payne's gray, and some titanium buff. A very, very lovely color palette. It'll tone down that red too. That red seems a little bright now, doesn't it? So I'll just put that on top of that red, like that. There. Now, okay, a little more orange. Don't have much paint left now, so I'm just gonna paint it out wherever it looks like it needs to be, a little touch. Okay, that looks pretty good, really. Oh, there's still paint there. Okay, so that's a start. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. I've got a good balance of light places and dark places. One thing I'm going to do just to finish it off, take my yellow, regular yellow #2 pencil with not too sharp, and just cut through it a little bit, making scribbles. It's not so much the pencil mark as it is the cutting through the wet paint. It's going to give it some texture, especially where the gesso was. And here you can see that. There. Oh yeah. Yeah. I really like to put a lot of energy into these marks because I feel like it shows in the final painting. And we'll be doing more of that as this goes along, but that is where I'm at with the first layers of a completely unplanned autumn painting. Thanks so much for being here. If you want more of this type of studio practice and outsider art content, just go ahead and sign up for my newsletter. That is the only place. I am not on any social media platforms. Thanks again for being here. I'll talk to you soon.